How we doing, everybody? This is Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert, a NASCAR and racing podcast. As mentioned on the first episode this week, just so much action to cover. We did 2 episodes. This one we cover all the Indy 500 and Coca-Cola 600 action. Tributes to Kyle Busch in both. Very moving pre-race memorial for Kyle as we see his wife, kids, brother Kurt, his parents make their first public appearance since the tragedy. Not only a lot of dry eyes, including myself, then it was go time for the drivers to go 600 miles in the Cup Series. Who would win the battle where driver and machine get put to the limits? Yellow flag, green flag, NASCAR history time, paint scheme of the week, exclusive Splash of Gas interview with Coca-Cola 600 winner. We'll get into the specifics after the race recap. Don't want to spoil anything. Discussions with Dave, tire diaries for Nashville, predictions and drivers to look out for that one too. Plus so much more on this episode of Splash of Gas. As always, we're sponsored by Magical Travel with Dave, aka Disney Dave Weichert, my father. He will be able to help you with all your Disney and Universal vacation needs. He can be reached at DisneyDaveW@Verizon.net. Please make sure you follow all the Splash of Gas social medias for midweek and on-track updates. Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube are all Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert. Now for trivia question time. This episode's question is, Catherine Legg just attempted the double, entering in both the Indy 500 and Coke 600. Question is, who is the first driver to attempt both in one day? Answer at the end. Now for the recap for the Indianapolis 500. Indy 500 did a nice memorial and honored Kyle Busch throughout the day. Many of the drivers had Kyle Busch stickers on their car as well. After qualifying earlier in the week, last year's champ Alex Palou would bring the field to green. Sunday's race not only featured the most lead changes ever in Indianapolis 500 history, multiple crashes, cautions for that, and also the weather. Different strategies from crew chiefs, which would lead to a one-lap shootout to close out the Indianapolis 500. As just mentioned, throughout the broadcast, and you can hear from the radio from the different teams, saving and fuel strategy at the end really became crucial. In the end, we had the closest finish in Indianapolis 500 history. And as a fan, when they announced that the race would go from what could have been 2 to go to just 1 green flag lap to decide the race, was kind of upset. Dang, like you're shortening the race. We went over that in episode 1 this week with how the O'Reilly Series and Truck Series races ended. But oh my goodness, that finish in the end was just spectacular. Felix Rosenqvist crossed the line just ahead of David Malukas in a photo finish. Just so ultra exciting. My dad and I were jumping up and down in the living room. And unfortunately, heartbreak for David Malukas, who finishes second. The young driver was doing everything he possibly could out there without wrecking the car, trying to win that race. And you can see how emotional he was in the post-race conference. And that's what great racing is and brings out of people. Exciting to see the celebration from Rosenqvist and team as well. Then that set the stage, pointing all eyes to Charlotte for the Coca-Cola 600. And we knew there was going to be a pre-race memorial and tribute, of course, to Kyle Busch. All the Cup Series cars had stickers, and some had Rowdy on the nameplate, and everyone had KFB on their car and riding with them. But seeing his whole family, their first public appearance since the untimely passing of Kyle was gut-wrenching and emotional, to say the least, and to see their pain and them at a racetrack for the first time without their loved one in Kyle Busch. Seeing that was heartbreaking as a human, but also seeing that they are human, that they are at the racetrack and they are trying to, somehow get over this immense loss that they have was great for just, I think, the healing process of NASCAR as a whole, to, say, hey, we're here to help you as well. Also, his older brother Kurt laying 8 flowers on, the number 8 painted in the grass for Kyle. As an older brother myself, I could not imagine what Kurt was thinking or what he was going through. I just couldn't. Was a moving tribute all in all. Then the drivers had to strap in and go 600 miles. So was a lot on the heartstrings for sure. But then in the end, it was time to go racing. Now for the recap for the Coca-Cola 600. Like the Truck and O'Reilly series, qualifying for the Coke 600 would be rained out. Tyler Reddick and Ty Gibbs bring the field to green. Reddick gets the jump and leads. Lap 8, the broadcast went silent in honor of Kyle Busch. Fans lifted 8 fingers in the air. Reddick continues the lead. First yellow on lap 35 as Josh Berry goes spinning. Reddick and Briscoe restart. Reddick again clears and leads. Another yellow on lap 54 as Austin Cindric and Connor Zilisch connect, and Cindric gets the worst of it. Most of the field pits underneath the yellow. Ross Chastain and Ryan Preece restart. Zane Smith from the second row gets a run and then leads. 10 to go in the first stage. Chase Elliott goes spinning. Michael McDowell and John Hunter Nemechek restart. Kyle Larson gets a run from the second row and overtakes the top spot. Kyle Larson wins stage 1. Chase Briscoe and Kyle Larson restart for stage 2. Larson clears, but is passed by Briscoe 2 laps later. Lap 143, Denny Hamlin clears Briscoe for the top spot. 2 laps later, the next pit cycle starts. After the cycle, Denny Hamlin retakes the lead with 46 to go in stage 2. Rest of the stage stays green and is won by Hamlin. Denny and Chase Briscoe restart for stage 3. Yellow flags fly after Catherine Legg has a tire come out. Hamlin and Briscoe restart. Reddick has a big run on the restart and clears and takes the lead. Reddick and Hamlin then each take turns leading. Reddick overtakes, then leads again. Next round of pit stops start with 51 to go in the third stage. Reddick retakes the lead after the cycle finishes with 43 to go in stage 3. 14 to go. Hamlin and Briscoe get past Reddick. Denny Hamlin leads. 4 to go in the stage. Christopher Bell passes Denny Hamlin. Christopher Bell wins stage 3. With the Coca-Cola 600 being the longest race of the year, there are 4 stages. Yes, typically the races have 3 stages, but there are 4 100-lap stages. So now we get together for the restart of the 4th and final stage. Bell and Ty Gibbs on the front row. Ty Gibbs clears and leads with Reddick behind him. 81 to go. Ross Chastain and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. touch. Ross goes spinning. 73 to go. Ty Gibbs and SVG restart. SVG clears and leads. 3 laps later, big wreck. Chase Briscoe, Ryan Preece, Chris Buescher all get collected, taking out several others. Shane Van Gisbergen and Bell restart. Bell clears and leads. 47 to go. Lightning in the area, putting the race under red. They restart with 41 to go. After making a 2-tire call from his crew chief, Daniel Suarez, and then Kyle Larson restart. Suarez leads. 2 laps later, Rain in turn 2. Yellow flag out. Finally, restart, 31 to go. Suarez and Bell. Then laps later, the rain hits, putting the race under yellow. But the lap before that, Daniel Suarez is able to hold off Christopher Bell. NASCAR calls the race. Daniel Suarez is your 2026 Coca-Cola 600 champion. And in a Splash of Gas exclusive interview, we bring on Daniel later on in the show. Quick look back at the predictions we made for the 500 and the Coke 600. Indy 500, I went with Patrick O'Ward. He finishes 4th. Coke 600, I went with Tyler Reddick. He finishes 4th as well. Yellow flag, green flag, yellow flag, Indy. Joseph Newgarden. He won back-to-back 500s in 23 and 24. Then the last two 500s since then, last year and this year, back-to-back DNFs. That's racing sometimes. Green flag, Indy 500. Most lead changes ever and the closest finish ever in history, coming down to the closing feet of the race. Yeah, that one was awesome. Green flag, Coca-Cola 600, pre-race memorial with Kyle's family. Now for discussions with Dave, part 1. Honoring Kyle Busch throughout the weekend was something that all 3 series of NASCAR did, and great to see IndyCar doing that as well. Yes, they are in a brotherhood of motorsports for sure, and it was nice to see those tributes to Kyle at Indianapolis, and another notable one was outside Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Busch's home track. As we said earlier this week on the show, Richard Childress Racing has announced they will be retiring Busch's 8, and for the rest of the year, that car, they will be fielding the 33. When Richard Childress Racing was loading the 33 for the first time without the 8 on it and without Kyle at Charlotte, was definitely an eerie scene to say the least. Members from every other team stopped what they were doing and honored, and that Richard Childress team, now the 33 team, unloading what was Kyle Busch's car. Before the recap, we were going over the tribute, seeing Kyle's family out there on pit lane, and as Daniel Suarez will expand upon, it seemed very difficult as an onlooker for someone to get locked into a sporting event, and Daniel will go into more detail how it was specifically difficult for him. But like I said, strongly believe that Kyle would want us all at the track and being involved and watching the sport that we all loved and that he strongly loved. And moving right along in TWD, Daniel Suarez getting the win is only fitting to KBM, Kyle Busch Motorsports, which uses that facility after they bought KBM just 3 years ago. And that team really wanted to embody the fighting spirit that Kyle created at KBM. They've continued that with their Truck Series program. And now with Carson Hocevar getting a win earlier in Talladega, now Suarez getting his first win with Spire, that team is really starting to heat up. I think the sky's the limit for them in 2026. We mentioned Catherine Legg doing the double, but how did she do? In her own words, Legg said, "I wish I got to redo both over again." In the 500, unfortunately, Catherine was the first driver out, did not finish. In the 600, she finishes, but 12 laps down at the time the race was called, and she finishes in the 600, 31st. I know, not the results that Catherine wanted, but such a feat, and big congratulations to her on being in both races. As we've seen from a 2-time NASCAR champion how difficult it is to do both in Kyle Larson, and really the main reason why he's not doing the double a third year in a row, it is the difficulty. Catherine has been in motorsports, so, Formula One, IndyCar. Now, on the NASCAR side of things, really so awesome to see an experienced driver like her get this opportunity. I hope she gets another opportunity to do the double next year. Last topic on Discussions with Dave, Part 1. Still on the topic of the Indy 500, Coca-Cola 600 double, and Kyle Petty did bring this topic up on his show recently. Did attempting the double take away Kyle Larson's momentum? Ever since Kyle Larson attempted the double in 2025, Indy 500, Coke 600, it's been over a year since Kyle Larson has won a Cup Series race. Yes, as we know, 2025 Cup Series champion. He finishes ahead of Denny Hamlin in Phoenix with the old format, and he wins, gets his second Cup Series championship. We've seen Larson, of course, victorious on the O'Reilly Series side since then, several times. But Petty does make a good point. Kyle has spoken about what doing the double really took away from him physically and also mentally. We have talked throughout last season and into this season, when is Kyle Busch going to get out of his funk and get back into his winning ways? For Petty to tie in that timeline kind of does shine a little bit more light on that. And probably one of the reasons why more drivers don't attempt the double. Paint scheme of the week, part 2. This was the paint scheme that Kyle Busch won his first Cup Series race with Joe Gibbs. It is an M&M Mars paint scheme, but it is a Hershey's paint scheme. We'll share that on the Instagram. Now for NASCAR history time. More of Kyle Busch Cup Series wins. Pure Michigan 400. Michigan International Speedway, August 21st, 2011. In a race packed with action and constant movement up front, the Pure Michigan 400 not only turned into a battle of endurance, but also timing. With 21 lead changes, it truly felt like anyone's race as the laps counted down. But when it mattered most, Kyle Busch made his move. On lap 188, with 15 to go, Busch powered past Jimmy Johnson to take control, showcasing his aggression and precision in the closing stretch. From there, he stayed composed under the pressure, holding off the field to secure the checkered flag. It was a clutch performance in a wide-open race, one that highlighted Busch's ability to rise above the chaos and deliver when opportunity presented. The NRA 500, Texas Motor Speedway, April 13th, 2013. It was a Texas-sized showdown underneath the lights as Kyle Busch and Martin Truex Jr. put together a thrilling duel at the front of the field. Across all 334 laps, the two traded the lead back and forth, each refusing to give up an inch to one another. As the laps counted down, Kyle found just enough speed and track position to edge ahead when it counted most. Holding strong through the closing run, he pulled away to secure the win in Fort Worth. And that was this episode's edition of NASCAR History Time. Very excited to bring on our next guest, none other than Coca-Cola 600 champion this year, Daniel Suarez. Next guest we bring back on the Splash of Gas, just won the Coca-Cola 600, and none other than everybody's amigo, driver of the number 7 Chevy for Spire Motorsports, is Daniel Suarez. Thanks for joining the show again, Daniel. Congratulations on the big win.
Thank you so much, my friend. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing good. Last we spoke was right after Daytona. P13 there to start the year. Then first top 5 of the year in Atlanta the following week. Circuit of the Americas and Phoenix doesn't break your way, but then you rebound with a P7 in Darlington. Did finishes in Atlanta, then Darlington give you confidence with being new to Spire Motorsports this year?
Honestly, it's not the finishes. It's more the performance. The finishes sometimes are things that we can control, and sometimes are things that we can control. Right? The finish is just a result of all the work that we're doing. But the speed that we have had is what actually gives me confidence. And already we've been fast this year. I felt like fast enough to be somewhere around the top 10, and that's very promising. We feel like we still one step behind some of the guys in the top 5, but overall, the team has been doing a good job, and we've been able to execute some good races and be consistent in the front, and I'm really looking forward to continue that trend. Obviously, the Coca-Cola 600, it wasn't an easy race for us. We had a lot of adversity, a lot of issues as well. A loose wheel, a tire, and something weird with the transaction. We just had a lot of things going on, radios issues, and we never gave up. We just always kept pushing and always kept ourselves in a position to continue to move forward.
Gotcha. Keep persevering and trying to execute. Appreciate knowing the insight where your confidence is coming from. A few more things before we get all into Charlotte. Was at Bristol for the first time a couple weeks or like a month ago now. Really neat to see that track. You run the trucks Friday night. First time you've been back in the truck series since 2021. Know it was an uphill battle with you starting from the rear after the issues in practice. What was it like to be behind the seat of a truck again, especially in Bristol?
Yeah, it was a little bit more difficult than what I was expecting, just because, we had some steering issues in practice, and then we couldn't qualify, and then, without the steering, it was very difficult to practice, so I didn't know what we actually had for the race, and those races are very short, so, everything happens so quick. If you are not good to start, sometimes it's very hard to recover. Track position was extremely important. So it was just a tough race for us, unfortunately. We were just not in a good spot, starting from behind in practice. So it was just unfortunate. I wish I had a better comeback than that. But yeah, that's the way it went. And I was hoping that was going to help me a little bit for the Cup stuff. But it didn't really do that. But ended up being okay for the Cup side of things anyway. So that was the main thing.
Got it. Thought the truck seat time would have helped you a little bit more. On Sunday you do finish P12, and then from short tracks, intermediates, and super speedways. Right now you have top 5 finishes on each of those. It seems like you're really starting to find some consistency and actually hitting those execution marks, just like you mentioned with the 7 team.
Yeah, I think the team is doing an amazing job. I'm very, very proud of my group. We have an amazing group of people that are working very, very hard, and they continue to get better and better every week and each week. And we just have to continue to do that. Continue to have fun, enjoy the moment that we're living, and continue to bring a speed to a racetrack. We definitely have done that so far, and we have to just continue to do that.
Got it. Appreciate knowing where your head's at on that as well. Getting into the road course side of things, Circuit of the Americas doesn't break your way. And throughout your career, you've had success on the road courses. Of course, grabbing your first Cup Series win at Sonoma. You're 13th at Watkins Glen a few weeks ago. Do you feel like you and the 7 team are close to contending at one of these road courses?
I think we're getting better. I think we're definitely getting better. We still have some work to do, but we definitely made a lot of progress from the first road course that we had this year, early in the year, in Cota, to the second one that we had in Watkins Glen. So if we continue to move in that direction, I feel like we're going to be in good shape.
Got it. Definitely agree with that. Appreciate the honesty. Before we get into the on-track action from Charlotte, I mean, we spoke to it before we started recording. Unfortunately, the sudden passing of Kyle Busch last week. You get your start in the truck series with Kyle Busch Motorsports, driving the 51 for 2 seasons between 2015 and 2016, 10 top fives, plus the win at Phoenix at the end of 2016. What was it like working with Kyle at KBM, and what was he like as a teammate with your years at Joe Gibbs?
Yeah, I mean, Kyle was just an special individual. Very, very good driver. Extremely talented, very, very driven, and always willing to help. You know, he was a huge reason why I was successful in Xfinity Series. I mean, he helped me a lot. He didn't really have to help me, and he really gave me a hand when I needed it the most. And a lot of people don't really know that side of Kyle, and he was always great to me. So super proud to have the opportunity to be teammates with him, to have the opportunity to be friends with him. Nothing but admiration to him.
Gotcha. Yeah, really, really have to respect, what he did on and off the track for sure. This week leading up to the Coke 600 is typically a fun one with the fans and a bunch of different appearances for the drivers. As we just spoke about the news breaking about Kyle, I mean, moving pre-race memorial with Kyle's family, Kurt and his parents, moving as a fan watching it on TV, and just as you mentioned, the relationship with Kyle. No, it can be go time once you put the helmet on, but did it take a little bit longer to get focused once you got buckled up on Sunday night?
100%, 100%. It was very difficult, actually. I'm pretty sure it was the same for everyone, but it was very difficult to focus after having national anthem with Kyle's family, and it was just very difficult. It was very difficult. I'm just happy that I was able to be part of that moment, and that we got to honor Kyle the way that he loved to get honored, and which is winning and competing in the higher level.
Yeah, you got that right. Really do appreciate you sharing that. Getting into the on-track action, of course, longest night of the year, and no practice and qualifying going into this one. Stage one, you're 12th. Second stage, you're 30th, and stage three, you're 21st. Seemed almost like you guys were playing the long game, even though getting no stage points to show. Looked like you had some speed saved there and avoid several other wrecks. How did you feel knowing that you had the speed you had in the 7 car going into the final stage?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we had the speed entire race, but we had a loose wheel in stage one, we had a flat tire in stage two, and we had a vibration happening there in stage three. So it was just a little bit difficult to get back in our feet, but the car was always fast enough that we were able to come back from all this adversity. So it was a little bit difficult on that end, but I was never worried about the speed of the car. We just needed to stop having issues. That was the difficult part for us. And once we were able to get back on the game, I feel like we had a top 10 car. I don't know if we were good enough to beat straight up the Toyotas, which those guys were from very, very fast, but we were good enough to fight up front, at least where the 5 car was. So it was unfortunate that we didn't get to show that earlier, but I knew what we had, and definitely the average running position doesn't show how fast the 7 car was.
Got it. And there's that yellow with 47 to go. Crew Chief Ryan Sparks makes the 2-tire call, a call that we've seen be successful at Charlotte in the past. You have the 2 restarts battling Christopher Bell, then holding off Denny, which was very exciting racing with the weather on the way. NASCAR calls it with 27 to go. You're able to hold off Bell, then Denny at the end. What was it like there at the end? I know it was a little bit different with a couple laps getting rain shortened, but was very exciting and competitive racing there at the end.
Yeah, I mean, really for 100 laps, the last stage, we knew that the race could end anytime. I mean, we all knew. I mean, everyone was watching at the weather. They even showed it on the broadcast. So, I'm actually surprised it took that long for the weather to get to us. And I'm also surprised more people didn't gamble to stay out or to do right side tires. But yeah, my team did an amazing job with that. They really made a lot of good decisions, and I was very happy for that. And obviously we also execute well the right side tires, pit stop, and also the restarts. Those were key. My spotter Frankie did an amazing job on top of the roof, and things ended up working out very good for us.
Just like you said, really executed in a team effort there at the end to get the 7 up front. You've won, of course, at the Cup level before. This is your first crown jewel win. I mean, how did it feel to win such an historic race?
Oh, very special for sure. I mean, to me, this is probably one of the most special races of the year, if not the most special one. So it was super special, but the fact that we lost Kyle this week, and there were so many emotions involved. I would call this race the most special race of the year, and this one means a lot.
Yeah, gotcha. And then, of course, Kyle Busch Motorsports was, the same building that Spire's in now. Very, very touching. Just like you said, you and your teammate Carson Hocevar now both have victories this year. It seems that, Spire is building championship contending teams over there. Currently, you're 10th in the standings, just behind Hocevar. How are you going to get the 7 to contend for a championship this year?
Yeah, I mean, we have to just continue to work, continue to improve. I think that all the men and women at the Spire Motorsports are doing a good job working hard and finding a speed. The 71 is also getting stronger and stronger. They had a solid run as well in the Coca-Cola 600, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be in victory lane very soon. They're inching their way there.
Yeah, with such a veteran like Michael, definitely feel the same way. Appreciate you touching on him as well. And last question, looking towards this upcoming weekend at Nashville. I mean, in 5 previous starts in Nashville, you have three top 15s. How are you and the 17? Feeling for Nashville Super Speedway this weekend?
I mean, I don't think that we could be any better, right? Every time that you win a race, you feel like Superman. So I feel like we're in a great spot right now. Me and the 7 team, everyone is happy, full of energy, ready to go to battle together, and I can't wait. I can't wait to go battle with my guys again.
Gotcha. And winning can solve a lot of problems, as you were just alluding to. So thank you so much for sharing the stories about Kyle, Daniel, and best of luck this upcoming weekend and in the rest of the regular season. Hope to talk to you soon again. All right.
Thank you so much, my friend. Have a good day.
Yep. You as well. Thank you. See ya.
Bye.
So great to talk to Daniel again. Even more exciting after he won a big race like the Coca-Cola 600. Greatly appreciate his time. Now for discussions with Dave, part 2. As we've mentioned, Richard Childress Racing is fielding the number 33 car in the Cup Series in replace of the 8 for Kyle Busch. Austin Hill just drove that 33 in Charlotte. Was announced that Hill will again drive the 33 this upcoming Sunday at Nashville. Hill, a veteran in the sport at this point in his career, dominant on the O'Reilly Series side and makes starts here and there in the Cup Series, more towards on the Super Speedway. And as Austin said on his social media, no one can replace Kyle Busch, and I agree with him. But unfortunately, with the void that Kyle leaves, and Richard Childress is going to run, 2 full-time entries in 2026 in the Cup Series. They have the charters and, of course, sponsorships, and of course, a very difficult time for everyone at Richard Childress Racing. And what Kyle wanted, the sport will go on. And that leads us to the question, who will fill the 33 for the rest of the year. When they announced Hill for Charlotte, I was assuming that he would make up a big chunk of it. He very might well be the guy that fills in for the rest of the Cup Series season in the 33. Definitely makes sense in my book. Yes, maybe Jesse Love shares some of those starts. Last year's O'Reilly Series champion, which is Austin's teammate on the O'Reilly Series, could see Jesse getting some starts here and there at some of the tracks that he performs better at than Austin, if you're getting nitpicky. And I love Jesse Love. And if I'm wearing the competition director's hat at RCR, you just want to, in such a difficult time, I would assume you would just want to get to some consistency, some normalcy week in, week out. And I think keeping a veteran like Hill, yes, he's, not right now a veteran at the Cup Series, but, between Xfinity and O'Reilly Series, the veteran of the sport, believe sticking with Austin can get them in a groove and maybe rattle off a win before the end of this year. Kevin Harvick won in Dale Earnhardt's car several races into Harvick taking over. And yes, these situations are completely different. But I would love to see Austin Hill win in Kyle Busch's car as a fan. Definitely will be monitoring who's filling the 33 week in, week out. Last topic on discussions with Dave. There were a couple penalties handed out post-race inspection in Charlotte. In the 600, as we saw, Catherine Legg does have a tire come off. Her two crew members, Ian Schultz and Deontay Jones, will be suspended for the next two Cup Series races. O'Reilly Series side actually came to the number 9, Ross Chastain, who went on to win the race, but it was a lug nut penalty, which those do not take away wins. Those get enforced after. The number 9 team was fined $5,000, and crew member Michael Roberts will be suspended for the next race the 9 will be running, and that's at Pocono. And now for Tire Diaries for Nashville. The Goodyear Racing Eagle tire setup for the NASCAR Cup Series race at Nashville Superspeedway features the same left and right side tire combinations used just in the Coke 600. This marks the 6th time the Cup Series have raced this setup this season. A lot of familiarity and data that teams have. They use this tire at Vegas, Darlington, Kansas, Texas, and just as mentioned, Charlotte. O'Reilly and truck teams will run left side tires used at Charlotte last weekend, paired with right side tires used from 2 weeks ago at Dover. In other racing action, Goodyear Racing Eagles will be ran at the NHRA Potomac Nationals at Maryland International Raceway. Let's look at the sets allowed for each series. Truck Series, 5 total sets, 3 new, 1 qualifying that transfer to the start, and 1 for practice. O'Reilly Series, same thing as the Truck Series. 5 sets, 3 new, 1 transfer from qualifying, 1 from practice. Cup Series will actually get more than double, 11 sets, 9 new for the race, 1 qualifying transfer to the race, and of course, 1 for practice. Now, the drivers to look out for: Nashville Truck Series. We'll start out with the Toyotas, and that begins with William Sawalich running in that Tricon truck. His 2 other teammates who are full-time, Giovanni Ruggiero and Caden Honeycutt. I think both of those guys will be competing for wins at the end of this one. Now it brings us to the guy that is not full-time in the trucks. He's full-time in O'Reilly this year, but 2024 and 2025, he's won in the Truck Series at Nashville, and that's Raja Karuth. Don't see why Raja, who is back behind the Spire truck, isn't again contending for a win out in Nashville. And don't count out veterans of the sport, Grant Enfinger, Daniel Hemrick, each in the top 10 last year. Of course, Lane Riggs, who won last weekend in Charlotte, and his teammate Chandler Smith. Both of those guys should be quick. Got several guys hopping down from other series. Parker Redsloff, Jesse Love, each making a start in this one, hopping down from O'Reilly. And then from Cup, Ross Chastain back in that 45. Then also Ty Majeski in that 88 should be quick. Drivers to look out for, O'Reilly Series from Nashville. We'll start off with the guy that won last year, Justin Allgaier. Can he get the 7 back to victory lane? I sure think he'll have a good fighting chance. Sheldon Creed was 4th last year. His Haas Factory teammate Sam Mayer was 3rd. Both of those guys, don't see why they can't be contending. Junior Motorsports is still going to bring that firepower. Sammy Smith in the 8. Already mentioned Allgaier. Then, of course, Kyle Larson in the 88 will be a contender as well. Of course, we can't forget about Cletus McFarlane in the 33, making another O'Reilly Series start since his debut in the series in Rockingham. Can Cletus go the distance? His 2 RCR teammates, we were just talking about them on discussions with Dave, but both of those guys, Austin Hill, Jesse Love, and O'Reilly, should be quick as always. And a guy that's been heating it up, 2 wins already this year, Corey Day. Then Cruz Missile, those Joe Gibbs Toyotas should be quick. I think Brett Cruz also stands out. Last but not least, final notable, good to see him back in O'Reilly car, and that's Josh Williams. And now the drivers to look out for, Cup Series from Nashville. Fords have been a little bit quiet recently. I think that changes in Nashville. Ryan Blaney won last year. Logano was 4th. I think both of those Team Penske guys are towards the front in this one. Also, don't count out Ross Chastain in the 1. He should be quick. Another Chevy and Kyle Larson was 8th there last year. Can Larson get into the top 5? Guy that we were just talking about, he's geared up for Nashville and ready to turn it up, and that's Daniel Suarez. Along with Kyle Larson, 2 other guys to look out for, his teammates from H&S, Chase Elliott and William Byron. Of course, the hot Toyotas, Denny Hamlin and Christopher Bell up at the front at the end of Charlotte. Think they can bring that momentum into Nashville. Then 2 guys that had success last year, Carson Hocevar, we're just talking about him with Daniel. Carson was 2nd last year in Nashville, and Eric Jones in the 43 also had a solid run, coming home with a top 10 finish, finishing P7th. And those are the drivers I will be looking out for at Nashville. Now for Fast Davies bets. Truck Series, Daniel Hemrick, top 5. O'Reilly Series, Cruise Missile strike down, top 5 for Brent. Cup Series, Carson Hocevar's plus 360 for a top 5. And his teammate, who we just spoke with, everybody's amigo, Daniel Suarez. Just as he says, they are full of momentum from Charlotte. He's plus 600 for a top 5 finish. Now for trivia answer time. This episode's question is, Catherine Legg just attempted the double, which is running in the Indy 500 and the Coca-Cola 600. Question is, who was the first driver to attempt both in one day? The answer is, back in 1994, John Andretti did it. Indy 500 results after starting 10th, he finished 10th. Coca-Cola 600 did not break his way. He started 9th, had mechanical issues, and finished 36th. Now, predictions for Nashville. Trucks, I think this one comes down to Carruth and Jesse Love. I think this time Jesse Love outduels Raja. O'Reilly Series, give me Kyle Larson, that 88. Just unstoppable, I think, right now. Cup Series, give me Blaney going back to back. at Nashville last year and this year. Those are my picks. As always, we're sponsored by Magical Travel with Dave, aka Disney Dave Weichert, my father. He will be able to help you with your Disney and Universal vacation needs. He can be reached at DisneyDaveW@Verizon.net. Please make sure you follow all the Splash of Gas social medias for midweek and on-track updates. Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube are all Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert. Till next time, everybody, Splash of Gas out.